teachers of Reddit, what parent-teacher meeting was the most memorable? I used to teach high school art. The administration had this idea to have an evening where we all set up tables and parents went through their kids' schedules and had a sort of speed dating parent/teacher conference set up. We had to bring packets of work for any kids that were failing to pass to parents to give to their kids and could set up future meetings individually if needed. Being that I taught art, not a lot of kids were failing unless they just didn't go to class, so it was a mind-numbingly boring 4 hours for me as no one, except a couple of sweet students, stopped by to chat. The very last block of the evening, a mom and dad just drop into the folding chairs in front of my table. They both had arms full of makeup packets and they both just looked so defeated. The mom looked at me with tears in her eyes and just asked, "What does my kid do wrong in your class?" I was so surprised by her question because I honestly adored her son. He was one of my favorite students. He completed every project on time and had a great personality. He constantly had me and the rest of the class in stitches. He was always the first to volunteer to help me out with any setup or cleanup and went out of his way to say hello to me, even on days he didn't have my class. I took great joy in telling his parents how he was an absolute bright spot in my day and watch a little bit of the sadness fall from their shoulders before they left for the night. When the student came in the next day, he gave me a giant hug and told me thank you for saying all the nice things about him. I told him that I didn't say anything that wasn't true and that I hoped he treated every teacher the same way he treated me. He laughed a little and said he would work on it. When I checked his grades at the end of the semester, he was working hard to pull up all of his grades. By the end of the year, he passed nearly all of his classes. I'm not a teacher, but a parent, but I want to share this story. In 2015, my husband was shot and killed during what we presume to be a carjacking. This happened toward the beginning of the year. I called the school to tell them 2 of my 3 kids wouldn't be at school for a week in order to take time off to grieve. My youngest was a baby, so they were very supportive. Came to the funeral, brought food by my house, and came to visit the kids. When the kids went back to school, they came back with tons of handmade sympathy cards that the teachers had their students make. They also provided therapy via the psychologist at the school. Anyway, the months are passing by and we are getting back to normal routine when in December I get a call saying they need to meet with me. The kids are getting good grades, so I'm wondering if there is some kind of behavioral issues going on. When I got there though, they provided us with Christmas gifts that were collected from the teachers and students. I wasn't in a bad situation financially, but still the gesture meant a lot. So, not a teacher, but as a parent, that was my most memorable parent-teacher meeting. I had a busy, well-known doctor bring in the nanny to the parent/teacher conference. Whenever I spoke directly to the mother, she would say to the nanny, "Are you getting all this? Because you are the one that needs to be paying attention. By the time I get home, I don't want to have to deal with any of this." I had a student who was a bit of a troublemaker. He liked to mess around a lot, and it got to the point it was interfering with lessons. We have a meeting with his parents and all his teachers, normal at my school, just to see what was up and if there were any strategies the parents were using at home that could help us out. The entire time the dad just keeps asking us to confirm that there's something wrong with his child. "No sir, he's just acting like a regular 12-year-old boy." Turns out the parents were in a messy divorce after dad was having an affair with a much younger lady. Cue all the acting out and positive attention seking from the kid. We signed him up for a bunch of sports and clubs to keep him at school longer and make some productive friends. We have a half day where parents sign up for conferences and teachers hang around until 8 with a break. I was catching up on work in my classroom and eating a sandwich during my break, and this mom comes in wearing some pink yoga pants and a big parka. She looks frazzled as hell and immediately starts going on about how she is sorry for her daughter and how she doesn't do anything at home, and basically going on about how bad her kid is. And I'm just not saying anything, just listening. Then she starts going on about the curriculum, how it's inadequate, and so on. But it's nothing substantial or pointed. She's just bitching about her kid and the school and whatever else more, like I was some sort of therapist than her kid's teacher. She's going on about the math curriculum and my next conference shows up at their scheduled time. The lady goes, "Sorry, thank you for taking the time," and leaves. I didn't say a word the whole time. I have no idea who she was. I have no idea who her kid was. It was really bizarre. My first year of teaching, I had a mother who pretty much ignored everything I was saying and assumed it was all bad. I opened with, "Hey, your daughter has shown some excellent work in class this semester." She replies with, "I doubt that. She can't do anything." When I try and assure her she had in fact done well with proof, she dismissed it and said she will never be as good as her siblings. I then offered some advice for how to improve her already decent grade, and the mother replies, "That's it, I'll ground her for a month." From that point on, everything I said, she literally added another month onto her daughter's grounding time. I ended up just summing up as quick as possible to try and save the daughter spending the rest of her life grounded. I was a percussion instructor for a high school marching band. I had a new student who wanted to try out for the drumline. When I asked him what he wanted to try out for, he said, "I played snare." Oh, okay. He must have played snare at his old school before he transferred. So I had him play some rudiment and rolls and such to see if he actually had any chops. He was no, it wasn't good. I gave him a simple sight reading piece I had written and gave him a few minutes to look it over before he played it. He points at the page and says, "What is that?" He was pointing at a set of triplets. He was a sophomore. There is no way he was a drummer in band since 6th grade and hadn't been taught what a triplet is. I told him flat out, "Look Jude, you don't have what it takes. Your chops are just bad, and you don't even know what a triplet is. You're way behind everyone else, and if I stuck you on the drum line you would be holding them back. I can use you in the front ensemble, but I can't use you on the drum line." He gets all mad and starts in with some attitude, and I asked him to leave the band room. The next day he comes back with his mother. She tells me that her son is going to be on the drum line, and not only that, but he is going to be the drum captain because he is the best drummer in the school. When I tried to explain why that wasn't the case, she interrupted me and started screaming about how I was a racist and didn't want him on the drum line because her son was black. I actually laughed when she said that because she said it in front of one of the drummers on the line who was black. He also laughed when I tell you she called me every name under the sun. I mean it. I think she made up some new ones too. The band director had to call the resource officer and have her escorted out of the building because she thought this woman was about to physically attack me. She got in my face, nose to nose, and screamed at the top of her lungs for about a solid 6 or 7 minutes. It was surreal. Afterwards, my students were like, "What did you say to her?" I wish I had said something to her that would have warranted that. I probably would have felt better about it. That was my first and last year. Never again. We expelled a kid who destroyed a classroom and office totaling about $4 grand worth of damage. He assaulted 4 staff members who were trying to contain him without touching him. No one wants to lose their job over this kid. One of them required medical attention, and he threatened to accuse his teacher of sexual and physical abuse. During the meeting with his parents, we were told that all he needed from us was love. I was the child in the situation, but we were all in the conference and my dad stood up and called me a mentally retarded psycho. My mom smacked him and told the teacher that my dad was trying to make my mom look bad so then he could take custody and sell me. That was terrifying because she had legit evidence of that. The teacher obviously didn't believe my dad because I was a normal student who just likes to draw and play on my phone. Was the memorable part of the question supposed to be depressing or the opposite? When I was student teaching, my mentor teacher, older guy, and I did parent-teacher conferences together. We had a female student and her mom come in. This girl never paid attention in class and just wanted to hang out and talk to friends, so we put her on the front row. Well, evidently she needed something to tell her mom why she was failing this class and had told her mom that the teacher moved her to the front of the room so he could look down her shirt. So her mom comes in angry and yelling at the teacher that he's a pervert putting her daughter in the front row and sexually harassing her. My mentor teacher just calmly turned to me and said, "Have you noticed any of that behavior in this class? You've been the one teaching for the last 2 months." The mom and daughter went silent. They had forgot that I, another female adult in the room, could witness for my teacher. They quickly left after that, and I think the mom realized her daughter had been lying to her. I felt great being able to protect a fellow teacher from sexual harassment accusations.